Hello my friends, John LaRuffa here with another solo rule speed through. And in this episode we are going to take a look at Windmill Valley. I'm going to teach the solo game and I will hopefully help you kind of refresh what's going on if you've already read the rules or it's been a little while since you've played. But I'm going to make sure that you understand how to play the full solo mode and everything else. All right, let's get started. Okay folks, as usual, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. If you have, I really do appreciate the support. Thank you very, very much. All right, this is what the game is going to look like after you finish it. I just finished it. I got clobbered by the AI. Pretty good. But it will be set up enough for me to kind of teach and explain what's going on in this game. So the first thing is, after you set everything up, this is a great little turn structure. It tells you exactly what you need to do to play and execute your turn. And it tells you exactly what you need to do to play and execute the gardener's turn, who is the bot. Okay? And that's very helpful. So how do you do your turn? Well, the first thing, and you're always going to do this, you're going to decide how you want to adjust this water wheel level here, okay? Or not the water wheel level, the floodgate. And if you want to go from this bottom space to this space, it'll cost you 1 coin, but you get a point. If you want to go from space 2 to space 3, it'll cost you 2 coins, but you get 3 points. And you can jump all the way up here. You could also leave it exactly where it is, or you can bring it down for free, but if you bring it down, you don't get the points and it doesn't cost anything either. Depending on where you are on the 1, 2, or 3 level, you'll either move the water no spaces at all, or if you're up here, you'll move the water 1 space, or if you're here, you'll move it 2 spaces. However, if you cannot move it up any more spaces, you're not actually allowed to stay there. You must slow the water down so that you can move it to a space that's legitimate. You can't exceed 8, okay? Now, the next thing is, depending on here, 1, 2, or 3, it will depend on how far you move your wheel. So you're gonna have your wheel right here, and the movement is determined by where this little red gear is, right here, this tooth. So in this case, right here, I'm on the 2 space. I would move this 2 spaces going like this, 1, 2. Okay, then I would take either this action or this action. Depends on which one I want. And if it has a plus like this, that means that if I was in this space right here, I could take this and this, okay? There are pre-printed actions on these wheels, but you can also customize them by taking this action later and putting one of those wheel inserts, enhancements, into your water wheel. You can also spend 1 or more tools to reduce or increase your turn rate up to 4 or at a minimum of 1. So it's up to you, but you cannot exceed 4 and you can't go below 1, and you always have to turn at least 1 space. Now, what are the turns and what are the actions? Okay, so first let's talk about the water level. If you decide to take this one and reduce the water level, you'll take this number and you will move the cube down that many spaces. But where you start the cube, you will take this reward up here up to 1 or 2 or maybe 3 times. There might be other ones in there that are in this stack. But this is your power, and you will basically take 2 times either 2 gilder or 2 points. So there'd be 4 points, 4 gilder, or a combination, 2 and 2. Okay, and if it's down in this section, when you start moving, it'd be less, and if it's down here, it'd be less. And you can't go any lower than there. So you would still be able to take this action if you wanted, but the cube wouldn't go anywhere. You would just get 2 coins, all right? So that's what you could do in this action. The other standard actions are as follows. First, let's talk about the most confusing one, I think, which is this market action over here. So the market action, you pay 2 coins to do it, and then you will move your disc 2 spaces in this market going according to the arrows. Before you decide to move it, you are allowed to move one of these neutral tokens by spending 1 coin, 1 space. It has to go to an open space, so if I wanted to, I could spend a coin and move it over here. But it has to be in a spot that I'm going to go to. So actually, that wouldn't be legitimate because right now, that would be 2 moves. That would be 1, 2, or I could skip it. But if I moved it, then I wouldn't be skipping it, would I? So here's the deal. You're moving this 1 space, because I get to do total of 2. I choose one of these rewards, I take it. I take it equal to the number of discs that are there, minimum of 1, maximum of 3. So in this case, if I was to move from here to here, that would be one of these rewards 2 times. If I was to move from here to here, then in the second one, that would be one of these rewards 3 times. If I wanted to, if this was full, I could either skip that space completely, or I could pay 1 coin to put my my guy there. Now, if I pay 1 coin, in this case, I actually pay the coin, but they get a point. They don't get a coin. It's a little bit different because they're the AI. They don't do anything with coins, and basically anytime the AI would get tools or coins, they always convert those into 1 victory point, okay? So that's how the market works, and that's a way that you can plant specific types of bulbs, which I'll talk about in a second, or get bulbs into your inventory. Let's talk about bulbs. So you have an inventory, and I'll show you, we'll zoom this one in here. You have this inventory right here, and basically you can store any number of bulbs you want up to this amount, but after you get to this spot, it costs you 1 guilder, and this spot would cost you 2 guilder. If you want, you can exchange them, so you can discard at any time and put one in its spot. And if you fill this all up and you decide to exchange one that's already got the fee, you don't pay the fee again. It's only when you place it down. Now, how do I plant? Well, I want to plant in rows that are all the same color and in columns that are all different colors. If I plant an entire row of all the same color, I'll get a maximum of 8, 9, 7, or 6 points, depending on the row. If they are different colors, or at least not all the same, then it would be 4, 5, 3, and 3. But I have to fill up the row completely to get that bonus. And as I go, as I plant on these spots, I would get whatever icon, action, or bonus, or whatever it is on this area as I fill it in. If at the end of the game, I have no pairs of colors here, and I filled all 4 of them, then I would get 1 point. So for instance, here, like this, the bot got 1 point for that, 2 points for this, etc. But if there are 2 of the same, then I automatically lose 5 points. If they aren't completely full, but I have 2 of the same, I still lose 5 points. So it's only when they're 4 of all different colors do you get the bottom bonus points there. So that is how you do that. And the plant action is this action right here. And once it's pointing here, you can plant up to 2 bulbs from your supply onto your garden. All right, another action is the foreign trade action, which is what this one looks like. And that's where you take one of your bulbs that's over here, not planted, but in your storage, and you put it on any of the empty spaces over here, and you would gain both of the actions or bonuses or whatever it is on there to do. You can never mix, you can never put 2 of the same colors. So if I wanted to and I had a red, I couldn't put it there. That wouldn't be allowed. However, if I put this white here, I would get the bonus, and then I would actually clear all these off, discard them, and flip this over to a new card. But if I don't want to place one of my tulips on here, I can take all 3 of these and put them in my storage. That is also a legitimate move. And sometimes you will have a bonus like I have right here, where if I take that action to do the foreign trade, I get 2 points, and that's what all these cards do. So let's talk about getting those cards. If I get those cards, I would take one of the cards, and I have the chance to recycle the market once by paying 1 coin before I take any cards. And then I could take 1 card. It doesn't cost me anything to take it. And I could either play it above my board and get the points and have this unlocked ability for the rest of the game. In this case, every time I would take one of these actions, I would get a 1 power, lower the water level and get the bonus for a strength of 1. Or I could put it under my board up to 3 different ones, and I would get this at the end of the game. So for instance, 4 points for every unique one of these steel enhancements. If you want, you can discard and replace, but you don't get any benefit. You don't re-get the points if there's points there, and you don't score these until the very end. So that is what this market does here. If you take this action, you will enhance your different wheels, and it's quite simple. You can pay 1 coin beforehand to discard all of these and put new ones out, and then these are free. This one costs 1, that one costs 2, and you can put those at any spot on the wheel. So I could put this over here like I did, or I could even put it on the other side. The only requirement is I'm not allowed to put it in the action that I just took. So I can't put it right where I took that action, like that. That would not be legitimate, nor would it be legitimate to put it there. It's got to be not where the arrows are pointing. So that is the enhance action right there. Let's talk about the windmill action. So when you take the windmill action, you're going to choose any windmill that you still have in your supply, and you're going to put it on the board, but the rules are you have to be able to trace a line from wherever you put it back to the spot in the market. So if I was to put it here, it would cost me 3 guilders, and then I would have to trace this line back, and because it crosses over my opponent, they would get 1 victory point per windmill that it crossed over. So for instance, if I put it over here, I would have to pay them 1, I could go this way, 2 points, okay? And you always have to go the shortest distance. You can't go longer than that. So maybe that was the same. I might have been able to go that way, yeah, because this is an empty spot. But you see what I'm saying? Basically, if you cross over the other opponent's players or windmills, you have to give them points, okay? They don't come out of your, they get points. And then when you play it down, you get whatever bonus the arrows point to, okay? In this case, it points here, here, and here. I would get, to do a 2 power water level reduction, I would get a red tulip bulb that I put over here, and I could pay 1 to go to the market, move, and do that action. The other thing that's really important about placing windmills is once you completely open up one of these spots, you'll get a certain number of points per type of tulip you have planted in your field. So when I finished the game here, I got 3 points for every black tulip that I'd already planted. And I got 1 point for every white. But since I didn't get these out here, I didn't get any points specifically for those. So those are all the actions that you can take. Now let's talk about how the game advances. Every time this red spoke, which it will start this way at the beginning, crosses over that arrow, you will pause the game, lands on or crosses over. You'll pause the game for a second, and you're going to move your token up this space. You'll get this reward, and you get to choose which reward you want. Usually the rewards in the top are the better ones, and then you will go ahead and cross it off, okay? Now, as the game goes, once someone crosses into this 4th area, both players will make sure they take a total number of the same turns, then both players will take 1 more turn, and then the game will be over. As the AI does their movement, each time they move up 1 space in the calendar, they will also start advancing their Queen's Wish token. So what that means is if you don't score the Queen's Wish before the 3rd round, they will get to 10 points and you won't be able to get that, okay? Now, that covers everything from the actual game to play as your player. How does the solo bot work? The solo bot works on their turn by flipping over a card, and then you compare these 2 cards together to determine what the bot is going to do. So the first thing this says is the bot is not going to modify the floodgate. The bot is not going to reduce the water level. And then you are going to spin this dial according to where it is over here. So it would spin 2 spaces. 1, 2. Then the bot would take this action, and it's going to do that every time. And the actions for the bot are a little bit different than when you do them. So that's a little frustrating, but it is what it is. So let's just go in order here. If it takes this action, it is going to look at this card. It's going to claim both of the ones that are highlighted here. So it would take both of these, you'd replace, and it would use those at the end of the game to score. They don't put them on the wheel, they stay on the side. If it was going to take one of these cards, these farm card enhancement cards, it would take the one where the X is, you'd take it off, you'd replace the spot, and again, it will score for these at the end per card, depending on the easy, medium, or hard difficulty level. If it decides to take this bonus, or not this bonus, this action, it's going to try to trade a white tulip from the supply to the open market, and it's going to try to start in the spot that it is shown in the card. And if that spot's full, it'll keep on going around, etc. If these happen to be the same color as one that's already out there, it won't take that. It will just take all these and it will plant them in their field. If it decides to go to the market, or if it goes to the market, it's going to move its pawn around 2 spaces, and it's going to plant based on what this shows in its field, okay? And that is completely confusing because that has nothing to do with anything on the market. And so again, I do want to make sure you understand it to read this carefully. But basically, it just moves 2 steps clockwise. It skips any completed areas. It doesn't take the usual rewards. It just plants the indicated bulb depending on what this says. So 2 plants. Now, how does it plant bulbs? It's going to start out planting whatever it needs to at the top and then going down to the bottom. It will always try to do the most logical thing. So it means if it starts a yellow row, it's time to plant a yellow tulip. It'll continue to plant along the yellow. If it's a different color, it'll start in the next row. If all 4 of these rows are different and it can't do anything to not do a mismatch, it's going to do the row that's the smallest first and then plant there. So you could see how that happened over here where I planted the black for it, because it happened that there was more yellows, there was just 1 white, there was a couple of violets and a few more reds, so I put the black one right there. And that's how it's going to plant, and it's a little, like I said, it's just different. It never uses the storage, it always plants directly, and it plants whenever you use the plant action right here, or whenever it goes to the market, it's going to plant. When it goes to place windmills, it will just take it out of its supply. It doesn't matter where it goes. It will always start placing the windmill in the spot at the beginning where the closest to the actual market marker over here, like it did in the first part of the game. And then it will go out depending on this priority, and thank goodness they marked it over here. It will try to get adjacent to any of these things first, and that's basically how it does its next windmills. It never pays any coins. It scores all the points it would, and it will get all the rewards it possibly can. And in the case of the rewards, it'll gain whatever victory points that are shown. It will plant whatever bulb is shown in the patch on here. If there's a choice to like get whatever bulb you want, it'll always refer to its card. And for any tool or gilder it would just get straight points. So that goes through every action that it can do. And again, let's just take a look at a couple more of these cards here. Sometimes it does want to move the water level down. And what that means is if this water level is in this area anywhere, it will take the 2 water level reduction action before it does the action on its actual wheel. And it will do it at a strength of 2, so it'll get 4 points and move it down 2 spaces. If, just like you, it wants to increase the wheel, it'll get the points, but it doesn't pay anything. It cannot violate any of the rules of the water wheel, the floodgate itself. So if it's already at 8, it's not going to be able to keep it up there. It's going to have to drop it down. And pretty much that is it. Now, it scores a little differently than you do. So take a look at the book. But basically, what you've got is on the back here, depending on whether you're playing easy, medium, or hard, it will score for each of these conditions listed on the card. Sometimes it just says regular rules. Sometimes it's got other things. You score exactly the same, and you have to, of course, beat them. You can't just tie, but beat them to win. Pretty sure that's all the rules for the whole game, solo and regular. If I missed anything, please let me know in the comments and I'll correct it. One thing I didn't say is you're limited to 9 guilders. You can't have any more than 9 money, and of course, you can't go below 0. Anytime you can't spend the money that you don't have, you can't take the action. Anytime you get money and you don't have a spot for it, you just waste it. It's just wasted. Finally, if there is a specific situation where you physically cannot take both these actions, so for instance, let's say I didn't have any bulbs to plant, and this was already at 0, well, shoot, I don't even know, because you could still take this. But they say in the rules, if there's physically no action you could take, you just get 2 money, and that's the way it goes. All right, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate everybody. I really hope you enjoy this game. If you have it, it's a very fun solo game to play, and I hope this helps you get it back to the table or get it to the table for the first time. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.